Gyarados is our reward for putting up with 15 levels of Magikarp. Let's see how this run gets on. Now this definitely is a run I've been putting off for a very long time. We're starting as a Magikarp in this run and it's going to be hell. I have a little self-imposed rule here on the channel that I try and do one of these ultra hard challenges every single month, so I implore you, if you do want to see more difficult challenges just like this, then remember to subscribe, and if you do enjoy this run then please do click the like button and maybe think about leaving a comment down below as well, because this run was deeply unpleasant in these beginning stages, and we'll find out together as we take a look at the stats of Gary the Magikarp. As always, we're starting off at level 5 and this time we have 18 HP. We're holding a berry and our only move is Splash. We've got 6 in attack, 11 in defense, 7 in special attack, 8 in special defense and 14 in speed. So we're nippy but we can't hit a thing to save our lives. And with the graphics now in place, we can see our first big target is level 15. We're going to get Splash at level 15, but until then, it's going to be a very big grind. We actually got no encounters all the way up until Route 30 here, and in a stroke of luck, our very first encounter was a level 4 Hoppip. I used all of the splashes to get our PP down to 0, and then it was a battle of the struggles. We were struggling and Hoppip was struggling, but we just about came out on top. And then we get to grinding against yet more Hoppip. We're going to try and get as many levels as possible before going to see Mr. Pokémon, and then we can start thinking about taking on that first rival battle. At level 9, with struggle, I think we might just be able to get through it. By this point though, we've used up all of our berries, so we are relying entirely on that set of HP we have. The rival has Chikorita of course, because we don't get any flying type moves as a Gyarados, and this is going to be the biggest threat early on in game. We do eventually get through the Chikorita, surviving on 5 HP, and then we can get back to the Hoppip grind. There's absolutely no way we're going to get through Falkner at our current level. I doubt we'd even be able to get through that very first Bird Keeper, so we are on to yet more grinding. One slight upside is we are now capable of knocking out more than Hoppip, so we don't have to rely on those incredibly low encounter rates. And after 50 minutes worth of grinding, we grow up to level 15. We learn Tackle at level 15, and that is going to be enough for us to get through the Sprout Tower. That's going to give us an extra level or so, and now we can take on Falkner. He's our first gym leader together, he's a flying type specialist, he's got a Pidgey, and we've got a Magikarp. I'm fairly certain that Pidgey stole Magikarp in Magikarp Jump, so this is revenge for all of those Magikarp that got stolen. I got the extra berry from the Ruins of Alph using the escape rope trick just for this battle. And as it turned out, I don't think we needed it in the end. We survived on 12 HP, growing up to 14, and we obtained the Zephyr badge in 59 minutes and 5 seconds. After making our way through the Union Cave, we're just one level away from getting that Gyarados, and it's against one of the bug catchers here in Bugsy's gym that we finally are able to evolve. We knock out a Caterpie, we have a Weedle to contend with as well, and thank goodness this Weedle played ball. Not a single one of its poison stings poisoned us, so we grow to level 20 and we say goodbye to Magikarp, and we can say hello to the next part of the run. Now, through the magic of video editing, that's only been about 3 minutes for all of us here together now, but as I was playing, that was a whole hour and 9 minutes of my life wasted with a Magikarp. It was not a pleasant time. But now that we have a Gyarados, we also have access to Bite, and that's a half-decent move. It's definitely better than Tackle at this point in the run, and it's more than enough to see us through Bugsy. Or a bit of a weird part of the run now, where we've gone from being incredibly underpowered to being incredibly overpowered for the point of the game we're in. So Bugsy was no issue whatsoever. We got his badge in a time of 1 hour, 9 minutes and 55 seconds, and we can move on to the second rival battle. This one should be a fairly simple affair, because we still have that very powerful Bite, even though we don't have the greatest special attack, and it's a one-shot on the Ghastly, it's going to be a two-shot on the Zubat. The only spanner thrown in the works is we hit ourselves a couple of times in confusion, and then we get what might be some of the best luck we have ever had in a challenge run. We flinch Bayleaf as many times as we need to knock it out without taking any further damage, and we are through Rival 2 in 1 hour, 10 minutes and 41 seconds. Let's see how we get on against Whitney. We've got Headbutt on the learn set at this point now, and that's going to be a fantastic physical move. We also outspeed the Miltank, so even though rollout is super effective against us, that cow stood no chance. We get the option to learn Dragon Rage at the end of the battle, so we get rid of Splash because it's a terrible move, and we get the Plane Badge in 1 hour, 16 minutes and 15 seconds. We are starting to get on a very good pace. Let's see how we get on against the third rival battle. This one of course is in the Burnt Tower and he leads with Haunter. We now have Surf from the Kimono Girls, so even though our special attack isn't the best in the world, that is more than enough to take care of these underleveled Pokemon. We swap to Headbutt for the Zubat because that will guarantee a one-shot, and we keep on headbutting against the Bayleaf. We easily tank a Razor Leaf to grow to level 27 to knock him out, and we can fall through the floor into Morty's gym. He is of course the Ghost and Poison type specialist and he leads with Ghastly. And thank goodness we have Bite on the learn set because this is super effective against all of those pesky ghosts. So it's a one shot on the Ghastly and the Haunter. Hypnosis misses from Gengar and it's easy street from here. One more bite finishes him off and we obtain the Fog Badge in a time of 1 hour 21 minutes and 44 seconds. Let's now move over to Cyanwood Gym where Chuck is waiting for us. He's a fighting type specialist who leads with Primeape. Primeape gets a Leer off on us, but all of Poliwrath's attacking moves are going to be resisted by us. We use Headbutt on turn 1 and turn 2 as Hypnosis misses yet again. We knock it out on turn 3 and we obtain the Storm Badge in 1 hour 26 minutes and 59 seconds. Jasmine's going to be no issue either. Jasmine's team has no special defense and we are 3 levels higher. So in this battle, Gary's going to be able to get his broom out and just start sweeping. It's a one-shot on 2 of the Magnemites, and it's a one-shot on the Steelix. We grow to level 34, and we defeat Jasmine in a time of 1 hour 29 minutes and 18 seconds. Let's move on to Price. He is of course the Ice-type leader, and he leads with Seal. Now once again, we don't have anything too great for water types, but we're able to two-shot the Seal with Hidden Power Rock. And then we have an identical scenario down to the number of HP on the Dugong. Here comes Piloswine, it's weak to water, so we knock it out in one shot. We grow to level 37 and we obtain the Glacier Badge in a time of 1 hour 35 minutes and 31 seconds. Let's now move on to the Goldenrod Underground where the fourth rival battle is waiting for us. This time he's going to lead with Golbat. And we of course have Hidden Power Rock on the learn set, so it's going to be a very easy one shot on the Golbat. He tries again, this time with Magnemite, and we've seen how Magnemite fares against the Surf, so that goes away. We decline the option to learn Hydro Pump, because even though it's higher base power, it's only 80 accuracy, and it really isn't good for a challenge run. The Haunter goes away, as does the Sneasel, and that just leaves Meganium left to go. To preserve PP for the rest of the Underground, I decide to use a pair of Hidden Power Rock to knock it out. And we get through the fourth rival battle in 1:42:20. Our final Jotonium gym leader is Claire. She's the Dragon-type specialist who leads with 3 very pesky Dragonair. We've got more than enough physical attack to take care of all 3 of these Dragonair, so they go down in one shot apiece, and we can turn our attention to the Kingdra. What we're going to try and do in this battle is we're going to try and make sure that that Kingdra doesn't heal. So we're starting with a Hidden Power Rock, and then we go to a Surf to get her down into the yellow. Unfortunately, we get paralysed as she locks herself into Hyper Beam, and that is enough for us to knock it out without it healing. And we obtain the Rising Badge in a time of 1 hour 49 minutes and 8 seconds. Considering we started with a Magikarp, I am very happy with that time so far. Let's see if we can keep this momentum going for the 5th and final rival battle. This time he leads with Sneasel and yet again it goes down in one shot, but we have a bit of a disaster with Magneton. It doesn't get one shot and it paralyses us. And that turned what should have been a very easy battle into one that we cannot win from this point onwards. It just shows, even though you should play with confidence in a challenge run, sometimes you have to take the safe option. If you're not 100% sure about something, the time you could lose will be far greater than the time you gain. I heal up for the next try of this battle, and this is where my suspicions were confirmed. It was a range the entire time, and we must have got a very, very low roll on our attempt number 1 of this battle. Not to matter though, one reset isn't terrible with a Gyarados. We get through the rest of the battle now with a lot more ease. We're not paralysed, that means we don't get cursed, we're not on a timer for the rest of the battle, and suddenly the rest of this battle is incredibly easy. It just shows one bit of bad RNG in any battle can turn it from being an easy win battle into something that is just impossible to win. Now we'll say thank you to the HM friends, so it's a big thank you to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck, and merci to Paris. They've all been a great help in the Johto region and they're getting some well-deserved rest. while Gyarados takes on the league. We've got our 4 full restores in hand. Now let's take a look at our stats. We're level 48 with 176 HP. We're holding the Mystic Water with Return, Bite, Hidden Power Rock, and Surf. We've got 158 in attack, 111 in defense, just 98 in special attack, 137 in special defense, and 114 in speed. Those, of course, are the out-of-battle stats. We'll get a big boost in battle, as we'll see here against Will. Will's our first league member, and he leads with Xatu. This is one of the reasons why we have Hidden Power Rock on the learn set. It's going to make this battle very easy. 3 of his Pokemon are weak to Rock, and then we've got Bites for the other 2. So the first Xatu and the Jinx go down straight away. It's 3 shots on the Slowbro, and here comes Xatu number 2. Hidden Power Rock's another one-shot with a lucky critical hit there, and we just have to focus on Exeggutor. Exeggutor being last is incredibly good for us, because it means it doesn't Leech Seed us. That means we get through Will in 154.50. Let's see how Koga fares. First up is Gyarados, and we range with Return, which means he gets a double team off. It means nothing for Koga in the end though, and out comes Fortress. Fortress is a simple 2 shots with Surf, so it's not going boom this time, and he tries again with Muck. Muck's got a fair bit of bulk behind it, and it's a 3 shot, and we end up being poisoned in the process by Sludge Bomb, but that shouldn't matter for the rest of the battle. We're going to full restore at the end. Crobat's a 2 shots with Return, and he doesn't get into a healing loop, and the final Pokemon is Venomoth. Another 1 shot with Return knocks it out, and we're through Koga in 155.31. Let's see how we get on against Bruno. We should have the type advantage against Bruno, but of course we don't have a single flying type move on the learn set. I misclick on Bite on turn 1 and swap to Surf on turns 2 and 3. We grow to level 50 and decline the option to learn Hyper Beam. It's a great move, but that recharge really does mean it's not worth it for a challenge run. It's a 1-shot with Return on Hitmonchan, and then Surf is a simple 1-shot on Onix. That just leaves Machamp and Hitmonlee left to go. We use Surf on the Machamp and critical hit, and flinch with the King's Rock. How many of you knew that Surf was a flinching move with the King's Rock? I certainly didn't. We'll have to bear that in mind for future runs. The rest of Bruno was easy, 156.30. Let's move on to Karen. Turn 1 with the Karen battle is the most important in the entire battle, and this time Sand Attack failed. That means we're in with a very good shout of getting through the rest of this battle on our first try. We are now on a clock because of that pesky curse from Gengar, but that shouldn't matter too much. Murkrow's a simple 1-shot, it's going to be exactly the same on the Houndoom, and that's going to give us a bunch of turns to knock out the Vileplume. We were fishing for a flinch on turn 1, it didn't quite happen, but then because Sunspore misses, it's a simple 1-shot with Return to knock it out, and we are through the Elite Four in 157.21. There's only one thing between us and the Hall of Fame now. It's time for Lance, the Liar with the Flyers, and just like us, he's going to lead with Gyarados. It's Gyarados versus Gyarados, and we use Hidden Power Rock to take it deep into the red. It flinches and goes down in 2 turns. And then I realised I made a bit of a misplay. I should have been holding the Paralysed Cure Berry the entire time. And unfortunately, this is one of those RNG Lance battles. We are looking for either a critical hit against a level 47 Dragonite, or a Thunder Wave fail. We get the crit in this instance, and that means the rest of the battle is free. The berry kicks in on the second Dragonite, and that means we're not going to get paralysed for the rest of the battle. We can knock out Aerodactyl with Surf, and then arguably the most dangerous of all the Pokemon comes out now. It's going to be a simple 2-shot on the level 50 Dragonites with a pair of Hidden Power Rock, and that just leaves Charizard left to go. We've got a bunch of moves that are great for Charizard. I decide on Hidden Power Rock to just guarantee the 1-shot, and we defeat Lance in a time of 1 hour 59 minutes and 14 seconds. Our Hall of Fame time is 1 hour 59 minutes and 30 seconds, and that is the first half of the run all complete. There's another 8 gym badges plus the red fight left to come though, so don't you dare go anywhere. Kanto is next. And we rejoin here in Vermilion City, where the first thing we do in Kanto is the last thing we do in Johto. We're getting another rare candy, this time from the chairman of the Pokemon fan club. We put that safely away in our bag, and then we cycle up to Celadon City. There's absolutely no chance we're going to get through Surge on our first attempt here, so instead we're going to go straight to Erica, and we'll take on Surge as our final gym leader of the run. It's very rare that we don't do Blue last, but in instances like this where we've got a glaring 4x weakness, it's definitely better to take him on last when we have the best chance of getting through him on our first attempt. And now, in the meantime, as the Cantonian gym leaders are playing in the background, I want to have a little chat about some of the arbitrary rules I put in place on the challenge runs, and quite exactly why I do them. We'll start off with the one that comes up the most in the comments, and that's why do I use the rare candies at red in that set pattern? I found very early on that if I used all 10 rare candies at once, that red battle became incredibly anticlimactic. By the time we get to red, we've spent well over an hour with a single Pokemon, and then arbitrarily increasing its level by 10 really does take away from the tension of that final fight. I also don't plan anything when I go into a run, so having that breathing room at the rare candies means I have a chance to think about the best possible strategy and the way I want to get through red in any particular battle. Sometimes it'll come to me straight away and the rare candies will be used incredibly quickly. Other times I need that little bit of extra time, which is where going up on those 3 different steps really does help. Because by the time I've used the final 4 rare candies, 9 times out of 10, I will know exactly what I want to do and exactly how we can get through red. Another one that comes up quite often is hidden power. I don't personally ban hidden power in Generation 2. With how limited the learn sets are in Generation 2, an awful lot of runs would take double or maybe even triple the time to get through to the end of red if I didn't allow hidden power. And because every single Pokemon is allowed to have a hidden power type set at the beginning of the run, it is a level playing field for all Pokemon. And as an added side effect, it means the runs are much more sustainable. If I didn't use hidden power, a lot of the grass types especially would end up in 3 to 4 hours, and there are an awful lot of grass types in Generation 2, and that would definitely contribute to burnout. Not necessarily when I'm playing the runs, but when it comes to editing and voicing them over, that's when it really starts to get tricky if we don't have a decent move to get through a lot of the trainers. Another move that comes up quite often is Curse. It has the potential to become one of the most overused moves in the game. By default, you could easily have Curse on most Pokemon at red, set up 6 times against the Pikachu, hold a Paralyzed Cure Berry, and then try to sweep the rest of red's team. And I don't find that too fun to play. I overused Curse especially towards the very beginning of the runs here on the channel, and I very much reined it in recent times. And that brings me very nicely onto the one combination of moves that is absolutely banned here on the channel unless every other option has been exhausted, and that is Rest Talk. I really do not like Rest Talk as a strategy. I think the entire point of red is that he is the hardest battle in the game. You have to think about what you're doing, and you absolutely have to strategize. You've got to go in and you've got to try and figure out how do you get through all 6 of his very high leveled Pokemon. And the combination of Rest and Sleep Talk really does take away from the spirit of that battle. Red Snorlax can use Rest, but that is in fitting with the theme of the Pokemon. Snorlax is known for staying asleep for awful long periods of time. You've got to wake one up in your progress to get towards red, so it's very thematic. But say if you go in with a Gyarados, which is a very hyperactive Pokemon, and you send it to sleep because you've survived on 10 HP, and then you've suddenly got a fresh health bar to work with, and then Sleep Talk picks the move you were hoping for, you've gone from having a battle which requires a lot of thinking room and a lot of strategy into just throwing the dice and hoping the RNG goes your way. And to be perfectly honest, I find that boring. I will never do that here on the channel unless there is absolutely no other option. And now let's turn our attention back to the action where we're facing Lieutenant Surge. We definitely took the right decision by facing him last because we've already had a reset, but it's looking like this battle is going much smoother on the second attempt. We get through all of his Pokemon and we obtain our final badge, the Thunder Badge, in 2 hours and 15 minutes exactly. And now everything has built up to this moment. It's the final battle of the game, it's red and he leads with Pikachu. And instantly we see a problem. We don't outspeed Pikachu and he will one-shot with Thunder. So we're going to use 3 rare candies and get ourselves up to level 63. We are 1 speed point ahead of Pikachu now and return is a simple one-shot. So we can now safely say that Pikachu is irrelevant for the rest of the battle, and that is one of the big sticking points of this battle already gone. Espeon, however, is another matter. Having Reflect with a physical attacking Pokemon is a recipe for disaster. We get through it, but then Snorlax knocks us out with Body Slam, so we'll use another 3 and get ourselves up to level 66. Once again, Pikachu's irrelevant. Let's see how we fare against Espeon this time. We still don't outspeed, but Reflect isn't up, and that gives us a chance to get through the Espeon without Reflect. But once again, Snorlax's Body Slam completely destroys us. We're going in for our 4 final rare candies straight away. Let's see how we get on this time. Return against the Pikachu once more, it's another one-shot. We're going to be doing quite significant damage against the Espeon now. We outspeed now as well, and we knock it out with one single critical hit. This is a fantastic start to the battle. It's going to be a 3-shot on the Snorlax. We've just got to avoid the paralysis. We do, and we knock it out, and that gets us onto the final 3 Pokemon of the battle. Blastoise has nothing good for us at all. Blizzard is his best option, but it doesn't freeze us, and we survive with around about half our health remaining. That brings us on to Charizard, and we swap to Hidden Power Rock because it's 4 times super effective, and we knock it out in 1. The final Pokemon is Venusaur. Return takes it into the green, it's going to be a 3-shot. We take it into the red, but then Solar Beam crits. Let's try again. That was devastating. We should have had the win there. Solar Beam only knocked us out because of a critical hit, but we have no option than to pick ourselves back up and try again. This time we're going on to the Snorlax in slightly worse condition, but Body Slam yet again does not paralyze us, and that means we get a chance to see how the rest of the battle is going to fare. We know that Blastoise is relatively simple, the worst he can do is freeze us, but Blizzard is a very low accuracy move. Blizzard misses on turn number 2, so we're roughly in the same position we were at the end of the last battle. We already know that Hidden Power Rock's going to be a one-shot on Charizard, so we can focus our attention on the final Pokemon of the run. It is of course the Venusaur. He sets up Sunny Day this time, but we critical hit with Return. We get our revenge and we defeat Red in 2 hours, 19 minutes and 55 seconds. On paper, that is a very, very slow runtime, but when you consider it took us an hour to get through Falkner because we started with a Magikarp, 74th place is not a bad placement at all. And I reckon that Gyarados is a very strong contender for top spots in the end of the line series where we start fully evolved. That does of course mean there's no change on page 2. Farfetch'd is still in 11th place and Stantler is in the page 3 drop zone in 50th place. And that does of course mean there's going to be absolutely no change on page 1 either. Pidgeot is still in top spot with 115.31. Girafarig is in second and Scyther is in third. Charizard's in the page 1 drop zone, ready to go down on our next top 10 finish. But with that, we are done. So if you have enjoyed this run, please do remember to click the like button. If you've got anything to say about this run at all, leave it in the comments down below. If you want to see more just like this, then click the subscribe button. And until next time when it's Grumble's turn to do the run, I'll say thank you all so much for watching and I'll see you all very, very soon.